What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another Daily Drop brought to you by TarHillIllustrated.com. I'm THI staff writer Jacob Turner. Joining me, as he always does, is THI publisher Andrew Jones. And AJ, we're not really too far away from the football season starting, and that's what we're here to talk about. You know, the season only really being just over 2 months away right now. Fall camp, the start of fall camp, less than a month away. So there is, that momentum towards the season is slowly building. We were at the Showtime camp a couple weeks ago. I know you were out of town at that point, but one thing that Max said to the kids afterwards was our season starts now, because that's kind of the dead period starts. I know a lot of the coaches go on vacation after the Showtime camp and everything like that. And then once they get back, it's full speed ahead with the new season. So it does feel like it is fast approaching. And like we always say, it'll be here before y'all know it. So we're here to talk about that and kind of try to gauge the excitement level. Are fans excited? Because I think there are a lot of reasons to be optimistic. I think there are a lot of reasons to be excited about what Carolina can do this year. But again, like we've talked about ad nauseum, the way last season ended left a bad taste in people's mouths. And I even think the excitement level maybe isn't as high as I thought it would be, and probably isn't as high as it would have been if Carolina maybe had won 2 of their last 4 games last year instead of losing 4 in a row. So it's an interesting offseason, AJ, because I've talked about it and we've talked about it at length. The vibe has just been different. The vibe has been a lot more negative, and I don't necessarily think that reflects the product that I think Carolina can and I expect them to put out on the field come September 2nd in Charlotte.
We have the unique experience of fully getting a feel of multiple vibes. There's the fan vibe, there's the media vibe, and there's the program vibe. The media vibe is just sort of, well, we're just kind of wait and see what they are, which I think is the best approach for the media. Agreed. Honestly, I don't like when we overhype things. I think a couple of years ago, you and I may have misread the defense a little bit, thinking they'd be better than they would be, and we were guilty of overhyping. We didn't overhype because we wanted them to be better than they were. We don't have a rooting interest here. I just thought our expectations were really high, and maybe that's on us. Maybe it's the fact that they just woefully underachieved, and ultimately it led to a change. So I'm going to give the media a pass on that, because most people are just like, we'll wait and see. I think with the fans, there's a tremendous amount of skepticism. I don't think that there's negativity. I don't think there's tremendous optimism. I think that fans are like, well, we've read these stories about non-negotiables on defense before. We've read these stories about being more physical in the run game before. We've read these stories about these annual offseason stories about the offensive line's going to do a better job protecting the quarterback, and they've given up 89 sacks in the last 2 years. So I think that they would love for these things to become a reality, and they're not saying that they won't become a reality. I think they're sort of in between. There's just skepticism. Like, you know what? I'm going to believe it when I see it. I think that's the mood from the fans. And then you got the program. I'll tell you this. I think I sense more confidence about everything that they're going to put on the field this year, all aspects of the game, than I have since Mac returned. And more so than 2 years ago. I think they kind of had an idea that the hype was way too much a couple of years ago. And you don't come out and say, Mac did say you're kind of overhyping us a little bit, but you don't want to say that too much because you don't want to have the wrong message seep into your team. But the quiet confidence in the program right now, I think, is very interesting. I think they expect to have a very good season. I don't think it's a hope issue. I think it's an expectation issue or deal here. And because of that, I kind of think that they're going to be pretty good too. I mean, they're really good on paper in some areas. I think that they made a lot of really nice moves in the offseason. I think that what they lost in the portal, what they gained as opposed to what they lost, is a plus, a significant plus. I think you have several guys that are going to bust out this year. Every time you see a tight end NFL 2024 NFL draft thing go up on Twitter, Bryson Nesbitt's always in there. So I think it's ready to see him sort of explode and have that all ACC kind of season, that NFL draft kind of season. All that stuff's in place, but it's kind of fascinating to gauge the differences between program, media, fans.
It is. It's a different vibe, and there's a lot of different ways to look at it. You talked about a few years ago when, Carolina ended up underachieving in what was, Sam Howell's final year and, the loss in Blacksburg and how much that team was hyped and how fans were kind of disappointed with it. But again, we've talked about it too. A lot of that overhypeness came from inside the program too. I mean, it wasn't just us making up stuff.
I agree.
Maybe we egged it on a little bit, or maybe we bought into it more than we should have. But it wasn't like we were just making stuff up. You know what I mean?
There wasn't anybody out there. There wasn't anybody out there that said they're way, way overrated. I agree with you. We got to be honest here. And I do think the program milked it a little bit because it was good publicity. So, Of course, they're going to milk it. And I think that they absolutely thought they were going to be better than they were. Now, I don't think Mac thought that they were a top 10 team, not at the start. I think he probably believed they could eventually have become one. But they got knocked off the rails in the first quarter in Blacksburg and never recovered.
Never recovered, yeah.
That's the reality. And it's interesting that the football team's year that year was very similar to basketball this past year. All this hype, and some of it was unfounded. Some of it was based on a small sample size that was blown out of proportion, and they never lived up to it. That team ended up with a losing record, and this basketball team didn't make the tournament. Mm-hmm. So I do think a lot was learned that year. A lot was learned about messaging, especially in a different era now with messaging than when Mac was at Texas. But I'm telling you right now, the quiet confidence, and I say quiet because they're not pushing it out publicly, but behind the scenes, there's a lot of high expectations. They believe they're going to be pretty damn good. Yeah. And with the potential of being better than that. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of stuff has to fall into place, and it begins with the staff, and they know that. But I also think the staff is better now than it's been since Mac came back. Actually, I think across the board, this is as good a staff as they've had maybe ever, to be honest with you. When you think about the addition of the analysts, I think that bolsters it so much. Mm-hmm. Monachino and Christensen, I think, are amazing additions, and the program will benefit tremendously, already has and will once the games start. Mm-hmm. That's going to be interesting to sort of follow and watch about Clyde Christensen's involvement with game planning and all that kind of stuff. That's going to be fun. Those will be some new stories to write we haven't written before. But I get the fans' skepticism. I think it's totally justified. Anybody that says, "Hey, 12-0," but I mean, they're that's just as crazy as saying 4-8, mm-hmm. in my opinion. So I get where a lot of that's coming from.
Yeah.
And the other thing about that is that some people have mentioned on the board, hey, what game should we be favored in? Because now's the time of year where all those, how many games should you be favored in come out? I'm willing to bet you Carolina fans wouldn't say 12 or 11 or even 10. I think they'd probably say a neighborhood of 8.
Yeah.
And that would make a lot of sense, right?
Mm-hmm. I agree. No, I think so as well. And I got my cat in the background. I'm channeling my inner David Sisk on this podcast, AJ, except instead of, my cat, in his case, barking or meowing in the background continuously. And I guess my cat's just back there laughing.
I had the leaf blower guy out here a few minutes ago. Apparently he only does the work in this area when he knows I'm doing podcasts, apparently. So your cat's fine.
Yeah, he's back there chilling. It might add a little different element to it,
David's dog barks. We were doing a pod here recently where I have 2 boxers. And one of them is 92 pounds. And one time, one of the Leaf guys was out here, and he kind of charged at the window and broke the glass. He halfway went through the damn window.
Me that story. Insane.
Mad Max.
Yeah.
But you would think that we are under attack. You think that we're Poland in 1939, and here come the Germans.
Yeah, Blitzkrieg. Yeah.
When Amazon and FedEx and all those guys, DHS or DHO, whatever they are, they even delivered something in the neighborhood last week, and the dogs were like, "Oh, somebody new to scream at," and they took full advantage of it. So,
hey man, I guess
we've totally gone off course here.
Yeah, and it's easy to do. We tend to do that on these drops a little bit, but no, I agree with everything you said about the kind of the excitement around the season. I think I get why there's maybe fans are a little bit more quiet, kind of wait and see what happens kind of thing. And I completely understand that. And when you look at the history of the program over the last 20 years in particular, you can't really blame fans. I'm not going to go into that. We've talked about that ad nauseum before with, not being rewarded for, the support. And, it's opposite on the basketball program when, you just go look up in the Smithsonian and you'll see Carolina fans have been rewarded many, many a times. But I do think this team has the potential to be very good. I'm not saying they will be very good, but I think they do have the potential on paper to be a really solid football team and build and continue to build this program to where it wants to be. And again, I think the staff, you made a great point. it's definitely the best staff I think Max had since he came back. I think it's one of the best staffs Carolina's had on paper. Again, we'll have to see what happens during the season, but there's a little bit more attention to detail. There's more analysts coming in with a lot of experience. You even got a guy like Freddie Kitchens on your staff coaching the tight ends, a former NFL head coach. So even some of your position coaches have a ton of experience at a higher level than even ACC, which I think is great as well. So I think the excitement will build, AJ, once fall camp starts, as it always does. I think the excitement will be there. And I think September 2nd in Charlotte, there will be more and more excitement. The game will not be sold out. I don't expect it to be. It never is. We've talked about that. I think I would much rather see, a home and home series with South Carolina play in Keenan than go to South Carolina one year like they've done in the past. But again, I as they do, as it all comes down to money and TV and all that kind of stuff, I get why they
Jacob,
do it.
I'm jumping in real fast about
you're
that.
good.
Maybe we'll do a pod about it, but that'd be pathetic if that's not sold out. But it never is.
It won't.
And the thing about it is, it's the ABC primetime game. Mm-hmm. How bad a look is it going to be when they do stadium pans and different shots of the game and there's swaths of empty seats when it's two massive state universities playing a neutral site game in their region?
Yeah,
that would be such a bad look.
Two programs that are on the up and up as well, because South Carolina's feeling good as well.
If they have 15,000 unsold tickets the week of the game, they should just give them away.
Yeah, and I'm basing that off of what happened in Mac's first year. I'm basing that off the bowls games they played, even South Carolina going back a couple years ago. It's just never even close.
And tickets are still for sale. Trust me. Right now, it's not. There's no anticipation of a sellout right now. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
That's why every chance Mac gets, he tells people to go. Mm-hmm. And same thing with the people down in South Carolina.
And I can guarantee you, if it was in Keenan, if it was at South Carolina, it would be, if not sold out, very, 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 very close to being sold out.
It would. No, it would be sold out both places.
Williams and that's a shame.
Have 85,000 or whatever it is, and Keenan would have. It's smaller than it. Well, hell, they sold out for him in the late 2000s, 2008 or something like that. They had 62,000 in there.
Yeah.
They got a lot fewer seats now because they went chairbacks. But yeah, anyway, we're going off the rails again, but that's something that people could comment on as well. And I think that's part of the enthusiasm and there's a lot of enthusiasm for South Carolina because they feel like they're on the uptick, and they have every right to feel that way. But for Carolina, I think there's a lot of the skepticism. Maybe that's reflected in ticket sales. Well, I would love to see that game full for selfish reasons, and also because it would just make it for a better environment, look better on TV. I think both programs would be hurt if it's not full. Maybe not helped if it is, but hurt if it's not, just because it would be a bad look. But maybe it's a reflection on what we're talking about here originally, is what is the level of excitement? What's the vibe around the fan base heading into the season opener? And
yeah,
I think there's a lot of people that there's some cautious optimism. I think it's more skepticism. I think this is the most skeptical I've seen the fan base. So many pieces that we run, the responses are, yeah, well, I've heard that before.
Yeah.
See it is believe.
Yeah.
So, and I get it. I
do too. I understand it. I do.
I get it.
I really do. And again, I'll continue to say it. That excitement around the program will build once fall camp starts. It always does, and it will. There'll be a lot more interest in it. And, once people start seeing some of these clips that are getting leaked out, posted on Twitter, like we see with the basketball program and all that kind of stuff, our coverage and all that kind of stuff, what Mac's saying about the team coordinators, I think the hype will get generated again. And again, I think there should be a certain excitement level for this team, because again, there's a lot of new faces. You got a Heisman caliber quarterback, in my opinion, the most talented quarterback Carolina's ever had. So there is and I think the defense will be much improved with who they're bringing back under Gene Chizik Part 2. But again, until we see it as well, I think I'm speaking for what Carolina fans are thinking. Until we actually see it as well, all this is just expectations rather than reality. And I think that's kind of the line Carolina fans are towing right now. I think they know they could be pretty good, but the reality of what they saw last year has just left such a bad taste in people's mouths for what happened in the last 4 games, that until things get rolling again, until they see it, I think excitement level is going to be dimmed a little bit, for lack of a better word. But again, we'll see what happens when the season starts. And I think that excitement level will go up before September 2nd in Charlotte, but we'll just have to wait and see. So,
yeah, before we close this out very quickly, a couple of dates people remember is July 27th, the 25th, 26th, and 27th is the ACC kickoff. It's 3 days now, but Carolina's participation is on the 27th. That's a Thursday, so that's in 3 weeks. Also, the players report August 1st. First practice is August 2nd, and we will be there with plenty of coverage throughout the month. So hopefully we'll get to see 3 or 4 practices and have access probably, after at least half of them. So we'll have plenty of stuff to report as we build into the season. But those are a couple of dates to remember.
Absolutely. Good stuff, AJ. And building off that, make sure you keep it locked to TarHillIllustrated.com. Follow us on Twitter as well at Hill Illustrated, and check us out on Facebook at Tar Heel Illustrated. Trey's been doing a fantastic job getting the Facebook booming a little bit more. So yeah, ton of content going to be coming out over there, and it's seen a lot of growth over there in a short period of time. So again, make sure you follow us on all those channels, and make sure if you want to, sign up for a premium subscription, just $8.33 a month. You can be a Carolina insider too. And this is a great time to do so around the off season, transfers, everything kind of going on behind the scenes. And then you build into fall camp, all the stuff going on there. And then to the season, there's just a ton of perks and a ton of great things you can get if you sign up for a premium membership at TarHillIllustrated.com. Just $8.33 a month. And remember, you can become a Carolina insider too, and support us for the work that we do as well. And again, the more subscribers we get on the website, the more views we get on YouTube, the more stuff we can do and the more videos and different types of content we can put out, which I know people want to see. So again, keep it locked to TarHillIllustrated.com for all your coverage of North Carolina football, basketball, and recruiting. I've been Jacob Turner. He's been Andrew Jones. Another daily drop. We appreciate y'all watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell as well. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks.
Thanks.